What's up everyone, welcome to another camera comparison video. Today I have this Redmi K40 Pro and Xiaomi Mi 11. Yeah, both of these are new smartphones and both of these have similar specifications, and I think this is a good comparison. Anyway, I really don't like to do this like before every video I have to show I have the smartphones, because I always have the smartphones and I never do fake videos. I hate those fake videos. So one request, whenever you find fake camera comparison videos, please don't hesitate to dislike and report those videos. And yeah, welcome to this channel. If you're new here, I wish that you'd subscribe. I mean, if you end up liking this video, then please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel. Okay, before we start our camera comparison video, I'm preparing a camera comparison video between iPhone 12 Pro and Redmi K40 Pro, Vivo X60 Pro and Redmi K40 Pro. And I have one very interesting camera comparison video between Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus and Redmi K40 Pro. Don't forget to watch those videos. If you have any other camera comparison video request, then please let me know in the comment section below. Okay, without wasting any more time, let's start our camera comparison video between Xiaomi Mi 11 and Redmi K40 Pro. I usually don't compare HDR photos separately, but yeah, this time I have to share due to this huge difference. These images were taken with HDR on, with ultra-wide lens, and the differences are clearly visible. Not only the ultra-wide sensor is bigger on Mi 11, even the lens is better. The same result when I have tried to take the same picture with main sensor. Mi 11 with bigger sensor, better lens and better processing got better images. Mi 11 with HDR on always have better dynamic range over Redmi K40 Pro. But once we get back to auto HDR, then both performs similarly, and sometimes Redmi K40 Pro even gets better result. Let's check bokeh photos. This is one of the interesting part of this comparison. Both of these two depends on the main sensor for portrait photos, as there is no telephoto lens. When I compare portrait photos, I care about bokeh effect, edge detection, amount of textures processed in the subject, and separation line. I always mention in all of my camera comparison videos, and yes, a lot depends on personal preference. This will be a preference thing for sure. It depends on what you prefer. Like Samara, the model in these pictures, feels she looks better in the images grabbed by Redmi K40 Pro. But I cannot agree that's the right choice. After checking a lot of portrait photos taken by these two smartphones, it is clear that there is a slight difference in white balance and tonal contrast. K40 Pro slightly saturates the color, and white balance actually jumps back and forth. Sometimes Mi 11 got a bit warm tone and sometimes K40 Pro. However, K40 Pro color rendition is a bit far from reality, cause it rendered colors with artificially optimized color curve, which indeed made the cloth and the background look better, but that doesn't portray reality. Edge detection, edge cutouts and separation line blend. Performance randomly jumps back and forth, but Mi 11 is a bit ahead. Redmi K40 Pro most of the time has clearly fell behind. I found details and dynamic range is a bit better on Mi 11. Yes, very difficult to judge, but my vote goes to Mi 11. From bright daylight to dark nighttime, and both of these two smartphones started to show why these are budget flagships. If I haven't mentioned yet, then Redmi K40 Pro is running on MIUI 12 and Mi 11 is running on MIUI 12.5. Both are updated to the latest version, and you cannot use night mode for portrait shots. I don't think we have to crop in to find the differences. Redmi K40 Pro, in search of a bright image, increased midtones, increased highlights and tuned for higher contrast ratio, which under low light condition with artificial lights hurts the whole image. Also, if you have checked carefully, K40 Pro almost crushed shadows. On the other hand, Xiaomi Mi 11 increased saturation, white balance is way too warm. However, both K40 Pro and Mi 11 failed to grab enough details, and there were way too many noise and grains. You cannot actually blame Xiaomi that they cannot tune the stock camera application. They have done a great job with Mi 10 Ultra. It's like we need to understand what can we expect from a value for money device. Considering the price of Redmi K40 Pro, performance is almost acceptable, but Mi 11 performance, No, that's not acceptable. This is different. These are night mode photos, and before you do any judgment, yes, the lights at the background are changing with time and that makes this more difficult to process. I have intentionally chosen this place. A few days ago, I have tried to take night mode photos at the same place with Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro and it did great. Based on that, I had better expectations from Mi 11. Yes, now we can take night mode photos with ultra-wide lens, but performance is pretty mediocre. Mi 11 have less noise and grains, while K40 Pro images are sharper. Once again, similar trend on the main sensor. Mi 11 have warm color temperature and K40 Pro crushed the shadows. K40 Pro night mode algorithm increased midtones, grabbed less details and processed with a different color curve, which gives it an artificial flavor, but it has better visibility if that's your priority. I prefer a good balance between noise, sharpness, highlights and textures. Yes, none of these two smartphones did as good as any other flagship, but Mi 11 seems a bit better. It has better color rendition and in terms of grabbing the reality, it did better. Mi 11 also processed more textures. You may have also noticed that the background got a bit blurry on the images taken with Mi 11. This is mainly due to two factors: bigger sensor size and focal length. Overall, I think I like Mi 11 nighttime photos over K40 Pro. Okay, you may have been waiting for this comparison between photos taken with the main sensors of these two smartphones. All of these pictures were taken on auto mode with AI enabled and auto HDR. Of course, both of these two have pro modes, so if you have the time to dial in and switch between options to get a pro shot of your choice, then you can. But most of the general users uses auto mode and I feel like this represents true pros and cons of the smartphones. 108 megapixel sensor on Xiaomi Mi 11 versus 64 megapixel sensor on Redmi K40 Pro. Actually, the numbers didn't reflect in performance. Or did it? The main difference is in white balance, and before you make any judgment, Mi 11 color temperature is actually neither warm nor cool, it's on the perfect line. K40 Pro rendered colors with a bit saturation, which makes things punchier and lucrative, and along with good exposure, the whole image stands out. It's more like social media ready. Before we move forward, I want you to know and understand that color grading is pretty similar under bright daylight or in any good lighting condition. It doesn't matter whether you take a 108 megapixel image or a pixel binned 27 megapixel image. Actually, there are a few defining factors that makes the differences. Like white balance, midtones, shadows and details are not always the same. Sometimes it's better on Redmi K40 Pro and sometimes it's better on Mi 11. A lot depends on ambience and surrounding colors, especially when AI is enabled. And this goes for both Redmi K40 Pro and Mi 11. I know a lot depends on personal preference. I feel Redmi K40 Pro white balance is a bit unusual, it doesn't look attractive to me. But I know a lot of people would like this. Even if color grading is better on Mi 11, I mean check clothing of Samara, it really looks as it is in real life. But skin tone took a nosedive and most of the people wouldn't like the background too, cause it looks a bit pale. Now the most important part for me is details and shadows, cause while editing you cannot add details. In terms of details, surprisingly K40 Pro is well ahead. It even processed more textures with sharpness and side by side, Mi 11 photos rather looks a bit soft. The first thing you'd notice in ultra-wide photos is field of view. FOV is wider on Mi 11 and then you'd notice that no matter whether outdoor or indoor, K40 Pro kept the trend of warm tone and Mi 11 got a bit more details and textures through its better ultra-wide sensor and lens. Xiaomi Mi 11 actually is not like other flagships. In my other camera comparison videos, I have found it inferior to other true flagships. The same thing continues here. Even cheaper Redmi K40 Pro managed to put up a true fight. Yeah, there are a few differences like white balance and saturation, skin tone in outdoor environment under bright daylight and in indoor environment under low light changes randomly, details and textures jumps back and forth. Sometimes K40 Pro and sometimes Mi 11 manage to process more details. As always, it depends on preference, but for having better dynamic range, ultra-wide lens of Mi 11 gets my vote. Moving on to selfie camera, and there isn't any drastic difference in performance. Xiaomi Mi 11 continued to produce photos with more details and textures while Redmi K40 Pro applied a bit heavier skin smoothing beauty effect. Color rendition and skin tone is also better on Mi 11. In good lighting condition or in bright daylight, both of these two generated good selfie images. If we have to nitpick, then again Mi 11 has a bit wider dynamic range and more details. The only thing hurts Mi 11 selfie is its white balance. These are selfie portraits and white balance issue is still there on Mi 11. I am actually happy to see how both of these two budget flagship smartphones produces good selfie portraits. In terms of edge detection, separation, line blend and details, both are pretty similar. But the bigger brother, Mi 11 has a bit better bokeh effect and also managed to get better edge detection. Okay, these are front camera videos and I am not surprised to see that both of these selfie sensors got some kind of stabilization. Before Mi 10 Ultra, Xiaomi never provided good stabilization on front camera. Anyway, color grading and dynamic range is somehow better on Redmi K40 Pro. And what surprised me is details and textures. K40 Pro is well ahead of Mi 11. This isn't what I have expected. By the way, enjoy this for a while and check the microphones. Which one got a better microphone? Make a comment and let me know. Now, these clips were recorded at 4K 30 frames per second. I think K40 Pro produced this video with better white balance. In terms of details, sharpness and color rendition, I would go with Mi 11. What do you think? Do you agree? If you don't know yet, then yes, Mi 11 got OIS on main sensor and optical image stabilization helps a lot. But I must say, stabilization of Mi 11 isn't as good as a flagship. Rather, K40 Pro only with EIS does good. Yes, there are some jitteriness, but that's what you get with EIS. Okay, it's time to wrap up. And the truth is, Redmi K40 Pro did good, but not as good as what we would like. Please comment and let me know what do you think. If you have liked this video, then please don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe to this channel.